Hey, this is Jared of Cynautical. My podcast is on alternative health and wellness. I also touch on biohacking and a few other topics as well. My podcast is available on Spotify, iTunes, also on my YouTube as well too. Check it out, and I'll see you there.
In this episode, I speak with Csongor Daniel, biotherapist, author, speaker, and coach. Csongor's teachings have healed more than 1 million people. As the author of 3 books on bioenergy healing and a veteran of numerous lectures and seminars worldwide, Csongor can teach you how to feel energy and use it to reduce pain, promote healing, and live a healthy life. Csongor is a master of long-distance healing and is happy to explain the process through the lens of quantum physics. I hope through this interview, those of you on the lifelong health and fitness journey can consider different ways to listen to your body and optimize your health. Now on to our conversation. First, I'd like to thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, I have reviewed your website and I see your mission, it states, is to promote health and healing for every individual, regardless of race, ethnicity, religion, while spreading knowledge of bioenergy healing. And you're an author, a speaker, and a coach. So how did you get started on the path of being a bioenergy healer?
It's not what you would think. I was an engineering student in the former Yugoslavia. I was born and raised there. And my mind was totally into the logical things, into technical stuff. And my dad's old friend was visiting one day, and he was telling him about the energy. He was a publisher at a large publishing house, an editor, and he was well read. He got interested in this, invisible energy and started studying it. Now, this was all a long time ago. So he just showed me some basics. And I realized, like, wait a second, I felt this thing my whole life. I just didn't know what it was. And once he pointed it out, I was able to practice with it a little bit, again, without much knowledge. And I would stop some pain here and there, somebody's headache. Nothing special. Until one day, my buddy's ankle was hurting. He was a long distance runner, an ultra marathon runner, and I figured, well, let's try something. Let's see what I can do with this energy. And we were able to stop his pain. Again, I didn't know how I did it. Just some kind of a feeling. But I knew that there was some movement happening, and definitely we saw the result. We didn't know how it happened, but it happened. And so I still continued with my engineering studies, just playing in this field a little bit, until one day my mom's back was hurting, and that's when everything changed. I asked her to stand in front of me, and I kind of visualized pulling this pain out by pulling the energy out. And again, I didn't know exactly what I was doing, but I felt this was the right thing to do. And as I started pulling the energy out, all of a sudden my mom started moving back. She was standing, but my hand was maybe a foot away from her body, and she was standing up. I was standing behind her. And as I pulled this energy out, all of a sudden my mom started moving back, kind of leaning back. I pushed my hand forward, my mom went forward. Pulled my hand back, my mom went back. I'm like, Mom, what are you doing? She's nothing. What are you doing? And it was a kind of a freaky experience, you can move somebody without touching them, especially your mom. So being college years, what do you do with that knowledge? Well, I went to the pub. I told my buddies what happened. And they're like, "You're right." Of course, nobody believed that. This crazy thought. And so I tried it on a few of them. And eventually, by the end of the night, everybody was into it. We were making bets in beer, who's going to move and who's not. And that was basically the beginning of my brilliant career in a pub.
Wow. Well, so let's go back a couple of steps. So what is bioenergy healing and
So,
what is bioenergy?
okay, so we know today in quantum physics that everything is made of vibration. Everything is made of atoms and electrons and so on. So not just the sound of my voice vibrates, the colors vibrate, they have different vibration. There are all kinds of vibrations going through us. The entire universe is one big vibrant vibration. Now, within this vibration, there are certain universal laws. And so within our bodies, we know we have all kinds of elements, right? I mean, we can touch ourselves. We're relatively solid but flexible, right? However, you know that deep inside, about 65-70% of that is water.
Mhm.
Now, that water is not in one giant container. Obviously, if I start jumping around, you won't hear it splashing around, right? It's in the trillions of tiny cells. Now let's choose one cell to look at it in more detail. To an outsider, if we could see it, in front of us like a bigger magnified cell, it would be like a balloon filled with water. Kind of spongy substance inside, but mainly water. Obviously, we know that there's like 5,000 different substances in that individual cell, including your DNA and other substances. But let's concentrate on that water now. You go deeper into that cell and find molecules. Now we're magnifying everything. So instead of liquidy form, now we're more in a gaseous environment. Like a hydrogen or oxygen atom molecule would be like gases. You jump inside and find one atom. Now we're deep inside magnifying everything. And this is where everything is easier to understand. If you know the atomic structure, then you can picture it.
Okay.
If you don't know it, think about the solar system with the sun in the middle and planets traveling around at certain distances, with the distances being enormous compared to their sizes. So the same as in an atom. You have a nucleus, which is positively charged and carries pretty much all the weight and everything of the atom. And you have electrons traveling around it on certain distances. And again, the size compared to the distance is minuscule. So let's magnify this nucleus to be the size of a pinhead or a pea, stick it in the middle of a stadium. The closest electron would be outside that stadium, outside the bleachers. But this little thing is so frisky, this little electron, which may not even exist, it's just a little dense energy. It goes around that atom so fast, around that nucleus, that if you could see it, it would be just a giant ball the size of the stadium. Yet 99.9999999% of that is empty space. It's just the appearance because of that little electron. Now you take another atom like that, and another, and eventually you end up with this human body, which appears to be solid, flexible, has all kinds of elements in it, but deep down, 99.9999999% of that is empty space. It's just the energy that holds everything together.
Okay.
Now,
And that's what's vibrating.
that's what's vibrating. So in essence, each electron going around that nucleus creates an electromagnetic field. And when you put it all together, these gazillion of these electrons, and you put together your body, this energy field extends much farther than the physical body. So you vibrate to roughly as far as you can reach. That's how far your energy field goes. It should be in balance. It should be always the same distance. That's when your body is the strongest. That's when your immune system works well. And that's when you're healthy.
Okay.
Any disturbances in that energy where you get too much or too little in some area, that's when problems will happen. It can be physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, any kind of issue is connected with the imbalance in the energy field.
Okay. So you mentioned it was your father's friend who introduced you to
Yes.
bioenergy. Okay. And so he pointed something out to you. You mentioned what specifically did he point out to you? if you can.
Just the feeling of the energy, how to feel it. Because again, the fact that I felt it all my life, I didn't know what the heck it was. You're just breathing the air, and then one day somebody tells you, well, did you know that, this invisible thing that you're breathing in all your life, it has so many different elements in it and vibrations, and it's a vibrant world out there that you don't see. And that's what he, I think, achieved by telling me those things and opening my eyes to the invisible.
Okay, and would you say that everyone can tap into that, or would you say,
Absolutely, absolutely. And babies, kids, animals, they're more aware of that than adults. When
Mhm.
my kids were little, my first daughter, she was 2 years old when she came up to me as I was working on her grandpa. He had bad knees, and I was working on one of the knees. And she came over and she started mimicking my moves. And, that was funny, like, little kid doing this, and it was cute. But then grandpa turned serious. He could feel it the same way as he felt the knee I was working on. He felt the other knee as well. And both knees, the pain stopped. And she didn't know what she was doing, just mimicking the moves. But
Mhm.
it's in us. I mean, we are naturally healers. When you cut yourself, it's not the Band-Aid that heals you. So it's a natural thing.
Yeah.
When you have a cold, it's your body's immune system fighting it, not the extra vitamin C or Tylenol or whatever you take. Those things make your life a little bit less miserable, but in essence, it's your body that does the healing. So if it's ideal with the energy, it's in perfect balance, then every function gets enough energy in the body. If there is some kind of an obstacle in the energy flow, if there is too much or too little in some area, it's all associated with some health problems. So the way we approach this problem is the very basic. You can't go to a more basic level than the energy itself. When you eat something, that food turns into a thermal energy or kinetic energy, right? So your body has to process it all to get to that point and to break it down to the minuscule parts of that energy. Here we're dealing with the very basic right away. So we're attacking the highest level, the connection of everything in the body. So again, mind, body, spirit, everything connects in this energy field.
Okay. You did say you felt um the energy that you possess, if that's a way to put it, to summarize it for listeners. You felt that before your father's friend kind
Yeah.
of taught you how to harness it. Would you say that the average person feels this, or that some people have to learn how to feel it and tap into it?
Most people don't pay attention to it. We were learned how to see things, touch things, feel things, and we didn't pay much attention to the invisible. And so once you point these things out, I mean, it all comes back. Everybody learns to feel the energy within 10 minutes. Same with seeing the energy. It's really not a big deal. When I started doing this was something that was pretty much unheard of. And it took me a long time to find an outlet where I can learn more. Other than Eastern philosophy and medicine and religion, there was nothing about the energy itself in literature, especially not in college. And one day my mom saw this guy on TV and she was yelling, I had to run in and see what was going on. This Croatian healer was working on an island in the Adriatic, and you could see in the footage all these people waiting in line, like 1,000 people waiting in line, snaking through these tiny streets, waiting to see him. And that's when again everything changed. This guy in this report, he was moving people and bending them and doing stuff while he was healing them. And right away I saw, wow, he's doing what I'm doing. and he knows what he's doing. So I should really get in touch and learn from him. But that ordeal, before the internet, before cell phones, at the end of the 80s, by the time I get in touch with the hotel on the island, he was already gone. And then a week later, my marathon running buddy ran over with a local newspaper talking about a professor in Belgrade who was measuring the energy fields of the body. He could tell you if you were born to be a healer and such. And I was able to get in and went through a bunch of tests. And he pulled me over at the end of the weekend and says, hey, you were born to do this. You should, consider changing professions or something. I said, great, but nobody's teaching it. The one guy I tried to find, he's nowhere to be found. And do you have any idea? He says, yes, hop in the car. And he drove me outside of Belgrade and he introduced me to Mr. Domancic, the same guy I was looking for. He was
Wow.
there. Yeah, goosebumps every time. He was there, rented out the whole hotel, and in the disco underneath was where they were conducting all their sessions. He and a few of his students, with hundreds of people sitting around. You could literally walk in with a headache, sit there for 5 minutes, and your headache would be gone. That's how strong the energy was in that place.
Wow.
So slowly I learned from him and eventually worked with him. And at one point started doing my own practice, still in Yugoslavia. The first month I had about 30 patients, while 2 months later I had that many a day. It was
Wow.
all word of mouth, which is much more prevalent in Europe. You'd stop somebody's headache and the next day the whole street would know about it. So it quickly picked up and I had a lot of experience right away from the beginning.
So
Later, I realized that, since this energy extends, you can do it without touching it. You can do it from any distance to a point. And then I realized that I can do literally any distance, but in that case, it's not a hand type of treatment, but more a mental type of treatment. So I do it in deep meditation. I have clients right now all over the world. This morning I worked on somebody in Australia, Canada, Serbia, Germany, California, and the dog in Florida.
So there's a lot of questions that came from that.
Yes, I'm sure.
So just so the audience gets a full grasp of why bioenergy healing is important, can you give an example of how it would feel when they recognize their own bioenergy? Because earlier you were saying, and I was asking whether it was more natural for you to feel it than others. So once you teach someone, how can they tell that they are actually getting in touch with their own bioenergy?
Oh, I mean, first of all, once you learn it, it's like those three-dimensional pictures. Once you figure out how to see them, you will always know how to see them.
Okay.
And so this is the same. Once you learn how to see the energy, you will never unsee it. Every time you want, you look at somebody a certain way and you can see their energy. To me, even more important is to feel the energy. So as a beginner healer, if somebody comes with a certain pain, where the pain is, but the origin of the pain may be somewhere else. And when you learn to feel the energy, you get to find those areas and change them, change the path of the energy, take off whatever is excess. Literally, you can stop a headache within 2 minutes. Other pain may take a little bit longer. It depends on how physical it is. Literally everything is energy. So if you think that way, then literally everything can be fixed. And everything is under your control. Just like we know what controls the energy, the food we eat, the drink, the air we breathe, the location, the cosmic rays, underground caverns, caves, electromagnetic radiations around us, other people around us, since we're all electromagnetic. But the biggest influence on your own energy is your own mind, your own brain.
Mm-hmm.
So when you tell yourself that you're happy, you're happy. When you tell yourself that you're sad, you're sad. I mean, it can be that simple.
So,
And
and that
yes,
that would change the vibration.
changes absolutely. I mean,
Okay.
you have that happy-go-lucky friend who walks into the room and lights up the room, right? And then you have that other friend who comes in and does the opposite.
Yeah.
We all have that, and we can see the difference there. And what just the attitude does. They can be, same in everything, but just the attitude change may change your entire health and your life path. In that
Mm-hmm.
manner, first I just taught a few people how to do this or how to feel it until I realized that literally anybody can do it. And you may take 5 minutes to stop a headache, not two, but you can do it, and you will still be faster than Tylenol or any other painkiller. Now, if you learn the technique right, then there's really no illness or disease that you cannot affect, because you're going again from the very, very basic level. And to answer your question, yes, everybody can learn this. It's just the level of what they can achieve. Like everybody
Okay.
can learn to play basketball, right? And there's Michael Jordan. I will never play like Michael Jordan, no matter what. It's just biologically for me impossible. I'm much shorter than him. I'm just differently built, different mentality and everything. But I can learn to play basketball, just like Michael Jordan can learn to heal. Maybe not as good as I can, or maybe better. Who knows? So this is something hard to predict, just like predicting how many treatments it would take for somebody to completely heal, because everybody's so different. Different lifestyle, different diet, different everything.
Okay. Would you say a particular lifestyle and a particular diet would be more conducive to being effective at bioenergy healing or balancing your bioenergy?
Well, absolutely. I mean, today we know that I mean, there's a whole science about diet and eating and what we put in our bodies, aside from the general media. The general media just pushes for profit. We know it when they were pushing the milk, does a body good, all the commercials with the milk mustache. Sure, milk is good for the cow, but in advertisement, we all thought that it was good for us. And many other things. If you look at the evening news, it's all about Ozempic and whatnot, other drugs that I never heard of, and
Yeah.
illnesses that I never heard of. But it's all business.
Is there a particular lifestyle or things people can do to modify their lives
Well,
to,
yes. I mean, listen, everybody is different. So some people
okay,
are born to be vegetarian, some people are not. Now, the argument for the vegans and vegetarians, um, I mean, you don't know many aggressive people who are vegan, right? A bad argument because I think
but
Hitler was also vegan,
some
but
can be aggressive about being vegan.
maybe. But the thing is that if you eat food that is natural,
Uh-huh.
you will be better off than when you eat things that were not made for human consumption. Certain
Yeah.
oils like seed oils, I mean, we know that it will keep you in constant inflammation. No, they're not made for human consumption, but the businesses and the profit made it human. When you buy something and it has, all the description of what's in it, it's probably not good for you. If you have to read the ingredients, in essence, it's probably not good for you. So get back to nature, get back to organic, natural, foods that your body will recognize. In chemistry, you want to be alkaline if you're following the chemistry itself. All illness, disease, bacteria, AIDS, virus, cancer happen in acidic environment. So that alone you can control with the diet, with intake, with what you put in your mouth.
Okay, so once they get that in balance, how can they take advantage of their new recognition of their bioenergy and either heal themselves, or what else can people do to empower themselves through understanding bioenergy, or
Well,
what
I
would be
mean,
the
in essence, if you just read my book, you can
uh-huh.
already learn how to feel the energy, heal it, how to manipulate it, and in essence, you have a key to work on any illness, any disease, and really anybody can do it. It's just a question of time, how long it will take them with their given energy. But the knowledge is right there. I put in 30 years of experience in this book, so you don't have to go through all of those trials and errors. And I mean, that's how humans function. Next generation should be smarter than the previous and learning on those. I mean, at one point, maybe they will teach this to kids in school, not under these circumstances and this world of profit, but at one point they can learn and they will not need any pain medication, for instance. Or if we would teach them what the right foods are and what not, we would also make better human beings. So we're still missing out on a lot of things.
Okay, and your book titled Bioenergy Healing, that's the primary book you
Yes,
recommend
yeah.
listeners to
And
get
in the
hold
in
of.
the meantime, I a few years ago, we made a whole series of videos. So it's an online seminar. If you are better off, easier following it in like a video format instead of reading, then everything is available there with special effects showing it how to feel and see the energy easier, how it travels, and so on. I was lucky enough to be stuck during COVID with my filmmaker cousin from Europe. We had nothing better to do, so we set up a whole studio and shot it all, and special effects and everything else.
Yeah, COVID was a great time for human development. It was also great for animals. They were able to run around without us getting in the way. So
Well, it had a lot of advantages,
yeah,
besides,
yeah,
cleaning up some waterways and the air. I would suggest, a 1 week off for the entire world, just like that every year, when
yeah,
everybody stays home and we don't drive or fly. I think we can live 1 week like that.
yeah. I'm for that idea. Sure. So you were mentioning in one of my questions a while back when you were speaking about the beginnings of your work as a energy healer. So you are from Yugoslavia, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, so do you believe your teachings and the idea of bioenergy healing is more accepted in Europe or just outside of the United States? And that also ties to, we had a previous conversation about ancient knowledge. Do you believe some of this information about bioenergy healing is already understood by other cultures? It's just,
Oh, absolutely. We're so behind. I mean, we know, acupuncture is thousands of years old. That comes with understanding of the energy. There's no other way. Qigong is also thousands of years old, coming from China. In old India and China, they recognized it. In India, they called it prana. In China, it was the chi. In Japan, it was the ki. In old Rome, it was called the spiritus. So the energy was recognized throughout history, and it's probably the first healing method altogether, or medical method. Put your hands on where it hurts. That's how it all started. Um, since then, I mean, we have advanced a lot, and today we can understand what this energy is. We can scientifically pinpoint it. We can measure it. We can photograph it. So it's nothing new. Some people go like, "Oh, this is BS. I can't see it." Well, can you see the air? Or when I explain, the long distance healing, which is also explainable through quantum physics and vibration. Some people have a hard time understanding it, but then you're there with your phone in your pocket, which is not connected with a wire to anything. Can you explain how it works? And most people can't, but they accept it. So Sooner or
Yeah.
later, this will be accepted as well.
Yeah. On that subject, there's a book that I love. It's called New Thinking, and it describes different inventions. And one of them, it describes the invention of the telegraph.
Hmm.
And just learning about that, it's really crazy that we can speak over the airways.
Yes.
You know, some things we just haven't harnessed yet. That's how I see it. We don't
Yes.
know how to harness it in a reliable system that doesn't require special skills.
Right.
So, going back to your teachings, though, what can someone expect from attending one of your seminars?
Well, depends what seminar. I mean, we had one this July in Austria up in the Alps. You can expect a lot from those seminars. I mean, we had the most beautiful views, the clean air, excellent food, meditation every day, Tai Chi every day, and of course, learning about the energy, practicing that, practicing meditation and long distance healing. So within 1 week, you literally learn everything that I know, after 35 years. Takes a little bit of practice, obviously, you can't just jump in like that. But in
Uh-huh.
1 week, you can learn everything that you need to learn to continue as a healer. I can teach you in 1 day pretty much, or if you read my book in 1 day, you have enough knowledge to do it. It just will take some practice again to get that point where you're confident with it, where you feel the energy well, where you can see it anytime. And so
Okay, so as far as meditation tying into that, so would you say that anyone who reads your book after they understand the teachings in your book, say they go to your seminar or seminars, would meditation be the way that they continue to hone their skills as
it's one of the outlets for sure. The meditation is very important, not just in long distance healing, but in general. You need even if you sit for 5 minutes every day, putting down your phone and just closing your eyes and not thinking about anything. We're concentrating on your breathing. We're concentrating on one specific simple thing or single thing. Your brain closes down for everything else and can relax. So some people can achieve that in a few minutes. Some people meditate for a half an hour every day. I'm one of those, but I do it for work. So I take some time to take care of myself during that meditation, but most of the time I'm working on others. And something interesting came out of it. And I mean, it dawned on me after many years of doing bioenergy healing that I hadn't been sick. I haven't even had a runny nose or anything since 1989,
wow,
the last time
long
I went
time.
to the doctor. And I did go to the doctor after that when I broke my leg. Obviously, that would be a little bit hard to put it together on my own. But in essence, nothing. My fiance had COVID, high temperature, headache. We kind of took care of her, but she tested positive for another week. We slept in the same bed, ate the same thing, kissed, all of that. And I never got it. So
Hmm.
it took me a while to kind of put together the whole pictures of what's happening. In essence, when you heal somebody, this energy, it doesn't come from me. I mean, if it was just mine after 30 people, I would collapse, right? But this energy is everywhere around us. It's like the air. You don't see it, but it's there. You inhale it, you exhale it. When I work on somebody, if I take excess energy off, I throw it into that thin air. When I give energy to somebody, it comes from that thin air. It just goes through me. So I'm really just a vessel that directs this. And that everybody else is whoever does the healing. So what happens is doing it constantly, doing it daily, I prevented the formation of any type of obstacle in my own body because, my river was flowing the entire time. My energy was flowing. And so that's the only secret. It's kind of like Muhammad Ali when he said
Hmm.
it's better to give than to receive. Now, that went for boxing, but
Yeah.
it turns out that it's better in real life everywhere. And the
Yeah.
more you work on others, the more you heal others, automatically your body will get healthier and healthier.
Wow. So with understanding bioenergy, can people use it for something other than healing?
Yes, you can use it in martial arts. You can use it in sports. You can use it for studying. There are many ways to apply, but I would say that healing and stopping pain is probably the top use of it.
Can it make you more focused in other areas, more energetic or
I would think so. I mean,
okay.
I feel focused and energetic all the time, so must be working.
Yeah, and when you heal people and you receive, I guess that makes you stronger. It's kind of like a self-reinforcing.
It's a win-win in every way. I mean, first of all, this is how I make my living, and what better way than make people feel better? You
Mhm.
take away their pain. I mean, if I hit the lottery, I would probably do it all for free because it's just, something that I like to do. It gives an instant reward. It's an amazing feeling. And when you do some emergencies, that makes it even better. 2 days ago, my fiance's friend's dog was run over by a car. They took him in for all the scans. They checked there was nothing broken, but a lot of internal injury and pretty bad hind section where they said you will probably never walk again. It's a 16-year-old dog to start with. And
Mhm.
so she was desperate and she called my fiance like, oh, can you ask your fiance, to work on my dog? This and this happened. And so I did it. It was, I don't know, Saturday afternoon. Literally my coffee break, I just closed my eyes and I took 10 minutes to work on the dog. And the owner went to the store, came back home, basically left the dog for an hour on a pillow, surrounded by, papers. So if it poops or pees, it stays clean. And she discovered the pile of poop in the middle of the room. So the dog got up,
Oh,
did his duty, and went back. So, I mean, it's amazing, when you hear that, when
yeah.
somebody's so desperate that, that dog is basically a goner, and then it changes, 180 degrees. That made my day.
Yeah.
That's an amazing feeling, and I don't know what else can beat it. And then to top it off, when I teach somebody to do it and they send me a report that they healed somebody or helped somebody, that is even, it's a more magnified feeling of what I'm doing here. It's quite amazing. One of my
Mhm.
students oh gee, it was 2016, yeah, 8 years ago. I was in Romania teaching, and one of my students came on motorcycle to Bucharest, which I did as well. I traveled from uh, Budapest to Bucharest on a motorcycle to teach the seminar. And so we got a bit of friends after the seminar and rode around the country a little bit. He continued his studies and he became quite successful in Romania. Then he started going to Dubai and all over the world teaching. Now he went to the Amazon. This very moment he's in the Amazon, went to learn about ayahuasca and other things, and ended up teaching bioenergy healer to the local shamans. So that's how Peru will find out about bioenergy
Uh-huh.
healing. Yeah.
I'm sure the listeners will really be intrigued by the material you have online for them and any seminars they can attend, and even the long distance healing that you do. Can you explain to listeners or tell listeners how they can get in contact with you?
Oh, absolutely. If you just type in my name.com, that's my website, chongordaniel.com. I'm sure you will have a write-up somewhere in your thing, but it's
Yes.
CSONGORDANIEL.com. And I have links to everything from there. My school is a separate site, bioenergyhealing.net. The first 2 lessons are for free, actually, so you can check out those videos and see if they are for you, and then decide if this is something that you want to learn or not. So it's quite open. Every Tuesday and Friday, I do a free long distance healing group therapy. Anybody can join in. You know, you'll find the instructions to what to do and what to concentrate on. But twice a week for 15 minutes, you can recharge yourself for, basically free, and maybe even learn some of the system slowly through that.
Would you say that this is a skill that should be essential to everyone for them to learn to add
But
to their
I think this should be the first skill to learn. Just like you're a baby, you learn certain things very instinctive. You stuck to eat. You learn about your fingers. You learn about your body slowly. But if they taught you how to understand all of this, then anybody could totally grow up knowing all of this. Wouldn't be a big deal.
Yeah, and then they wouldn't be so dependent on medications. And
Yes, of course.
I'm definitely interested in learning a bit more myself. I have done some long distance sessions in a different area, and I think this is one area in which people can learn on their own as far as healing yourself. Those other long distance sessions I've done, that has to do with talking to your higher self. Is there anything like that you do, or how's this
Well,
different from that?
in long distance, that's not a big thing anymore.
Uh-huh.
Think about it. You think of someone and the phone rings and that person is on the other line. How many times have that happened to you? Or you think of
Yeah.
someone and you get a text message from that person. How did that happen? Can it really be a coincidence? 100 times in a row? No, we're all connected. So when you open your doors, your windows, then the light comes in. And that's all about, this sums it up. It's about wanting to learn it, and it's about opening your mind. Once you learn how to feel it, which will take you 5 minutes,
Uh-huh.
everything changes.
Well, your book, Bioenergy Healing, I'll have a link to it in the podcast description. And do you currently have any specials going on? I believe we discussed that.
Yes, for your listeners, they can
Yes,
type in bio20, bio20 with a capital B. You will get a 20% discount for the entire bioenergy healing seminar or online school.
excellent.
That's your best investment ever, I can tell you that. It's better than buying a machine that would heal you, because this is just part of you. There's nothing to lose, there's nothing to break, and it's knowledge for a lifetime.
That makes sense. Self-empowerment is always the best empowerment.
Yes.
Well, I'd like to thank you again for joining me and giving us just a taste of your knowledge, because I know there's a lot more there, and sharing your discount with listeners, and also providing us with some areas to get started, such as with your book and your websites.
Wonderful.
I hope you join me again in the future for a future episode.
Oh, we should do an update.
Yes.
Thank you very much for having me. Very cool. Thank you very
Yes.
much.
That's it for this episode. Please see the description to connect with today's guests. And please share and rate this podcast on your preferred platform. Thank you for listening, and stay strong and well.